In order to ensure safety and the best game they can, the manufacturers of hockey equipment put their gear through rigorous tests. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brayton and welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're learning how hockey equipment is tested from the folks at Reebok CCM. So what is involved in the hockey equipment testing process?
In hockey equipment testing, what we try to do is understand how the equipment works, how it absorbs force, how it generates the energy that goes into a puck, let's say. Basically is trying to understand the variables that affect performance.
Now, I think I read that there are both human testers and robot testers.
The portion is with equipment in the lab, where we try to control all the variables and manipulate only the one that we try to study. And then we also will have real players do field testing to understand what we do with equipment works in the real world.
How would you say that this whole testing process affects the player's game in the long run?
Well, the whole thing is to improve the protection or the impact performance. We will look at the variables that play a role in that equation, and we will manipulate them to get them to the optimal level. It's always an ongoing process that we try to figure out things and understand how our equipment work.
Would you mind showing us some of the robot testers?
Absolutely. With this particular equipment, what we're trying to do is evaluate how much force and at what displacement the stick will break. It tries to mimic the force that is being applied when you're actually taking a shot and flexing the stick. That jig is actually your hand putting the force through the shaft and trying to bend the stick to load the puck. So basically what we've measured over here is the displacement and the force at the point of breakage. So if we want to increase that stiffness or make it more resistant to breakage, we will play with the construction to achieve that result. This next test is basically a drop test impact, where we will try to understand how our protective equipment mostly is absorbing the impact and protecting the wearer. This is part of a standard that actually we have to meet in order to place our product in the market. We measure the deceleration when the protective equipment hits the anvil, which is basically mimicking the flat surface that you might impact in the real game. Finally, this piece of equipment is a cannon. What it does, it shoots a puck at the velocity you want. This, of course, mimics what happens a lot in the game of hockey. There's many things that we can evaluate using this particular test. We can look at how force is being absorbed when you're hit by a puck, or we can also see how the materials break or wear after impact. There's a laser beam that pinpoints the exact location of that impact. In particular, what we are trying to test here is a goalie face mask. As you can see, the head form has plasticine on so that we can get an imprint in case there is contact. This is basically a pass-fail. If there's no contact, that would be a pass.
Thanks so much for showing us the equipment.
No problem at all. Thank you.